Just wait till the vape warms up. It's going to go wah, wah, wah. Eso mismo. You're right where you're supposed to be. It's the Pot Smoking Moms podcast. We're your friends, Sunny D, along with my homegirl, Captain J.
Hello.
Hey, if you like us, if you listen to us, I know this sounds like gimmicky every single episode, but it really helps us when you subscribe to our show on whatever platform you use, or if you share our program on your stories, on any platform, or your reviews on Apple Podcasts, specifically, because that's the only one I think we can get. I don't know. Spotify doesn't really have something for that, I don't believe. But reviews on Apples is very nice too. So please, you guys, for those of you who have, we know a lot of you have, and we appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
But any little bit helps. We just want to assault as many ears as possible to destigmatize cannabis use on just a general level, not just for moms, but for everybody, right?
Yeah, we have lots of listeners that aren't moms.
Exactly. So please go to potsmokingmoms.com. That's our website, and connect with us on all of our social medias and whatnot.
Except TikTok. It's not. We're trying.
We have our
individuals.
Separate. Yeah, we have two
I haven't
separates.
posted anything yet, but after what happened and not having access to our TikTok anymore, I was like, let me just make my Captain J, and I'll start posting when I can.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So TikTok, we'll figure it out. Just follow
You're
our
Pot Smoking
personals.
Mom.
I'm Pot Smoking Mom,
and I'm PSM Podcast.
So we'll find our way. We'll find our way back. What do you got going on over there in that bong?
I got a bong here packed with some King Dosi from Vitacan.
Nice. I also have Tiger Balm I have my Da Vinci going.
I see that.
I have Tiger Balm from the Flowery, and I did a little sandwich with some butter, Durban poison butter from Vitacan.
Ooh, so concentrate and flour in
Yeah,
there together?
I put flour, I put concentrate, and then I put a little more flour.
See how you do
for
the show.
All right. if you have something to smoke, by all means, cheers. See, I like vape because it gives you a nice taste.
Yeah, it always tastes great.
You know, it just, I know it doesn't
it's
feel
a different
the same.
effect. It's
yeah.
definitely a different effect that you get, though.
But it's very convenient.
It tasted pretty good.
Yeah, Vitacan has some good stuff, man. And the last few times from the Flowery has been fire. Hey, you guys, we have a discount code with them. It's not stackable. Yeah, miscommunication on that.
Miscommunication there, but it's still 20% off.
But it's still 20% off. Delivery is free as long as you do more than $60, which you will do more than $60. And PSM 20 from the Flowery. So go to theflowery.co.
Support
if you're
the
in
little
South
dudes,
Florida. Yeah,
the family.
We're looking at stats, and they really are low on the totem there. We got to really give them.
They're
the
low on the
business.
totem as far as dispensing, but their flower is great.
Their flowers, the last few times have been knock out of the park.
I've definitely been.
And they have interesting strains too. So definitely. Later on in the show, we are going to talk to a friend of ours, Brittany Parker. You could find her on Instagram as @naturalbree, 2 eyes. She's founder and CEO of Green Legacy. We're going to interview her later. She is so much fun. She has similar.
She's so cool.
She's super cool.
And she's one of our day one people that we've been following each other forever. The last 2 years.
And she's just so, her posts. I love all her posts. And her humor is so on par with ours. So it's really fun to see her stuff. So we'll talk to her later on. Hey, we currently have the Last Prisoner project up on our page. We have a
little fundraiser
going on. We talk about how we want to give back. We want to,
get nonviolent cannabis offenders out
of prison. And that's, one of the steps that we need to take.
Records expunged.
Right. So if you haven't donated, we know a couple of you have. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. But any little thing, you can go to our Instagram page and you can donate to Last Prisoner Project on our fundraiser right there on our Instagram page. It's pretty easy.
Super easy.
And then repost it and tell other people, because ultimately at the end of the day, if we're really fighting for cannabis, we have to do it the right way. We have to think about.
And this is something that every cannabis user should be advocating for and working towards, because it really is unfair, the injustices of these people sitting in jail for sometimes very little, like a roach or something.
Yeah, we'll talk about it with Brittany later.
We do talk about it with
about
Brittany.
how there's some people locked up for the silliest things, and here we are. I mean, free to
buy weed, get it delivered to our house.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, please donate any little bit, $5, few bucks, whatever you can do.
Yeah, if you can't go out there and advocate yourself, give money to those people who are doing the fight.
Exactly.
Doing all the footwork.
You can help them.
Exactly.
It's a small goal that we put for ourselves, just $250. It'd be awesome if we got to go past that.
That'd be great.
So this next thing that we want to talk about, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to Britney Spears' social media activity.
I know a couple of our close patrons and friends have, because we talk about, we send each other stuff. If you're not a patron, become a patron,
or just following us on Instagram, because our regular people on there, we communicate.
Right, we communicate on a regular basis on Instagram. But she's been posting some questionable stuff for a while, right?
Yeah, but it was always is it her? Is it edited to make her look crazy?
Right, and I think she was kind of holding back, but then when the shit started hitting the fan big time, she started being a little more herself online.
I feel like she's it's an outlet for her right now. Maybe she has more control for the first time over her own social media, and she wants to tell what she's experienced. It's really odd. I don't know if you haven't played it.
Well, it's I'm going to play it now. It's a combination of things. So
you got to play it so we could talk about it.
This is the last reel that we got from her that we were like, what? I mean, there's a lot of questionable stuff. All the boob photos. You gotta
actually watch it. You should actually watch the reel too, because the cuts and the things in between, they're very awkward. The images.
But we talk about how she's not really a creator like that. So, she doesn't know how to do. She's not that. She's Britney fucking Spears.
She doesn't Vine or TikTok.
Yeah, right.
Or do.
Look, so this is the reel. Let me.
Today, I'm here to just ask you a couple of questions.
It's like she's her therapist.
Yeah, right now she's imitating all the therapists she ever dealt
with.
Involuntarily, she says in her caption.
I'm just going to ask you a question. I'm here to help you, key number one. So relax. Totally relax. Lay down. Do what you have to do. Just a couple of questions. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. But the psychosis of what's going on in your head kind of goes into mine.
It's interesting that she says the psychosis that is in your head goes in mine.
Do the clear way.
And her hand gestures.
I can read you well.
Her hand gestures are aggressive.
I can do my work.
Yeah,
because that's how she feels.
She's
about
being
those
sarcastic.
Yeah,
her hands are sarcastic as fuck.
Oh, she's being sarcastic
Succeed.
as hell. Okay, yes, now she's laying on the couch in her living room.
I had a great year.
Yeah, she shot this from too far. Her house is large. She needs to be closer.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just weird.
I think we need to figure
now
some
cut
things
back.
out. Are you breathing well? Are you?
Oh shit! Sorry.
Hi, so as your therapist today,
starting all over again. Instagram.
You gotta open the reel.
I
you had
know.
it just one feed.
Completely
I'm playing vieja, bro.
I do the work.
Okay, now
I feel like my mom.
They can hear anything that they missed before because we were talking.
So relax. Totally relax. Lay down. Do what you have to do. Just a couple of questions. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. But the psychosis of what's going on in your head kind of goes into mine too. So we need to just clear these blockages. You know what I mean? Do the clear way. So I can read you well, you read me well. So I can do my work.
Aggressive hand gesturing
right now.
I need to do my work
for you to help you succeed.
Yes, I'm feeling fine.
Laying on the
had
couch.
a great year. I'm having great days.
So I guess that would just be what she would say.
Yeah.
Now back to the therapist.
Well? Are you eating well? Are you okay daily? And what time do you go to sleep at night? Because I'm here to help you. Okay? That's key number one. I'm here to help you. Balls. Holy shit, fuck balls. Whoa,
This
girl,
is when the shit
fuck.
gets crazy.
Wow. Oh my God. Holy shit, wow, fucking balls, eh? Yeah.
Balls,
Holy
eh?
shit, balls.
It was like she turned Canadian there at one point too. It was weird.
I just don't know. Okay, I understood the whole reel, like what she was going with, like making fun of the therapy sessions and stuff. But the last part there where she just starts fucking saying balls and cussing like very erratically. What do you think she's trying to say there? Do you think it's like what's happening in the therapist's head? Because she's in the therapist's point of view when she's doing that. She's like, or what's going through her head,
and then she burps. It sounds like she's.
It just happened.
I don't know. It sounds like
I think that just happened.
Being sarcastic.
Do you think
right?
the burp was intentional?
I think the burp was coming and she threw it in there because she was being sarcastic. So it was kind of like whatever. I might as well burp.
What is that? She doesn't even know how to properly curse. It was just like I know. Fuck shit, balls, abe.
Fuck
Why
balls,
so many balls?
I don't know. I know her cursing is super weird.
So of course people are taking that and are like, oh my God, she's fucking batshit bananas.
I mean, I didn't read into it. It was funny because
I feel like she's just trying to express herself in a way in the internet where she's never really had the opportunity to do before. And it's odd, but there's crazier people that have full control. Yeah. And then it's probably a crazy transition for her right now to go from being controlled to now having to make her own decisions. I wonder like what the transition for that is.
I mean, look, obviously she's got issues. Has traumas that she's working through. She's been mistreated, manipulated, like controlled
by her own family.
Yeah, and there's aggressions coming out, but I don't know.
Then some
like
of the other
sometimes
videos
I see some of the stuff she posts, and I'm just like, why, girl? You don't need to post that shit.
And then her birthday, I guess, was recently, so she went on vacation or something.
Yeah, she's having a blast. I mean, seems like
that video is just really interesting. It
was so weird.
I haven't gone into the comment section on that.
I haven't either. When it came up, it was late. I was doing stuff I was finished recording my other show. I got home late and started like finishing our show, posting late. Posted. I went back to Instagram. I saw it and I was like, whoa,
what's happening?
I posted into our stories and one of our patrons, Denise, was up. She was up too because after I posted on our story, she immediately hit me up and was like, dude. And I was like, yeah, I don't like, you get mixed feelings because on the one hand, you're like, yay, go you. But on the other hand, you're like, whoa, girl.
I hope she's okay.
Someone needs to talk to her about
negative experiences with therapists and psychologists that she's worked with that her family put overseeing her doesn't keep her from getting help from her own therapist that she chooses and is comfortable speaking to about all the stuff she went through. You know what I mean? Like, I hope it doesn't put such a bad taste in her mouth going through all that for her to like seek her own help.
I know.
Because she gonna need it.
Yeah, sis needs help, bro.
We all do. It helps for everyone to talk to somebody.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because on the one hand, you're like, yay. But then you're like, yay? Because you're just like, I don't know if this is a good thing.
Let's see where it goes.
I don't know if this is a good look.
Where it goes. I wonder if we're ever going to get a tell-all interview like her with Oprah or something.
I don't know, but like, this is the thing too. You kind of want to poke fun at it, but then you're like, this is how we got here. Isn't how we got there in the first place, right?
Yeah.
It's weird, right? Because you kind of want to be like, ha, but then you're like, it's such a weird spot. It's very gray area, and like we're happy for her, but like I don't know, it's a little troubling, and I don't know. We just hope for the best for her. Always,
I don't want to
right?
read into too much. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Now she has the freedoms to get her own help, so hopefully things get better. Okay, so I just thought this next topic was really strange because like one day I was in Hulu and I saw it advertised this Astroworld documentary, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch that at
Too
some point,
soon, though.
right?
Too
I was
soon.
like, how did this come out so quickly?
Yeah,
like
soon.
how? So I went
so
back.
much work and to have a documentary, but there was
But it's
no
not
help
really
at
a
the
documentary. It was more just a local news station doing the story on it.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And it
then
was
they
like a
just were
long
expanding on it.
It was like a long story. It was the local news station for Houston or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and it was just being aired on Hulu because
Yeah.
Hulu airs ABC stuff, like all these network stuff, including their news programs. But apparently there was a lot of backlash about it being on there, and it was taken down. And I was like, Kardashian PR team, they got paid or something to take it down. Like,
I mean, yeah, but even because wouldn't the families be able to also go after these people? Because if their family was a casualty of this concert and now there's a documentary going up on Hulu, wouldn't the families be able to go after Hulu and be like, hey,
it's a news report. It wasn't a documentary. It's ABC local news reporting. Like, you could still get it on their local website. It's still available there.
Okay.
They just took it off Hulu.
Oh, all right.
So
I don't know.
they just don't want it available to the masses.
I don't know. I think
But it's available to local people there.
Yeah.
Or you could go to that local ABC network, whatever, for Houston and still find it on their website.
Well, I hope the families...
I'm sure the families want the stories out because they're trying to sue these motherfuckers.
Yeah, they are.
So the more
they're trying to pay the families
outrage
for their funerals, and a lot of the families were like, no, thanks, we'll fucking...
They want the public outrage because it helps them. I mean, I'm sure some of them don't want to share the story yet. It is really soon. Like, I was like, how do they get something like this out so soon?
Fast, yeah.
But I realized later when I went looking on the internet why it's not on Hulu anymore, because it was like one day to the next that I didn't notice it there. I saw that there was backlash about it and it was taken down, but it was just an ABC local news story that was available, but it was being advertised as, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, as like when
you
the
log
main
into
screen.
Hulu and one of the main things, like, on here now to watch, they had that.
Yeah.
So it made it seem like it was a Hulu documentary or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yucky.
Yeah, because they know how much that story was blowing up on the internet. So they were probably trying to, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
That whole thing is crazy. Hey, we got a giveaway going on. The first one in a long time.
Yeah.
So please check it out. Please hype it up. Please share it. Please sign up for it. We're giving a nice little package deal with a lot of goodies. Personal air filter. We are giving away pot smoking mom necklaces and pothead earrings. We're giving away...
Is it going to be U.S. only, or is it going to be...
Oh, yeah, U.S. only. I should say that. Damn, I always forget.
We
but
actually have people outside the U.S.
Yeah, I know. Even in other countries where I'm like, really? People listen to us here? Okay, cool. Thank you. But go on our Instagram. If you're not in the United States, though, just please still go over and be like, hey, I'm here. I'm from here. Maybe we can, if there's enough people, we can open it up a little bit. But we got some cool, some of our merch and a little piece, a bowl.
Kitty cat paw.
It's cute.
So
I wanted to keep it for myself, but I was like, this is cute. I need to put it in the giveaway. And there's like some mouthpiece stuff too on there and a Zippo lighter. I mean, it's cool stuff. So sign up, go on our Instagram and sign up for that giveaway. We'll announce the winner on our next show.
Yeah.
So check it out. We also have our pot smoking moms field trip.
We should start a countdown for this.
A countdown on Instagram?
Maybe
what?
on Instagram we'll do it when it gets closer, or I don't know, but on Patreon.
Yeah.
I feel like mostly we're going with patrons.
Yeah, really.
Like, we really haven't, other than on the show.
Oh, we haven't
posted about it
on Instagram.
Should we?
I guess we should. I don't know.
It's just, I feel like the people that listen to us are real ride or die.
Right, exactly. And if you don't know about it already, not like you might not care about it anyways.
No, I mean, we can still post it on there.
Yeah, so February 11th through
We're not
the 13th.
sharing an Airbnb with everybody, but...
Well, some people are just gonna maybe meet us for a day or two.
Yeah, or at dinner.
So Disney trip, February 11th through 13th in Orlando. If you're in Orlando, holla,
come hang out with us.
Yeah, let us know. We can plan. We're trying to plan a night for where we
might have convinced Miyabi and Riley to come.
Oh yeah, I know. Wouldn't that be fucking dope?
Yeah.
If we get some of the scientists. The weed scientists to come hang with us.
Hey, they were all about doing the shrooms too.
For real, man. For real. Teaser, we got an interview with Dr. Riley and Dr. Miyabi. So
coming up soon. Yeah, they're back on the show.
They're back on the show. Always fun time with them too. So it's up time for, oh my God, I can't find the words. Can you introduce?
Time for everyone's favorite segment.
Sometimes my tongue doesn't know what to do. Thank you for the backup.
GOP congressmen and AOC team up on marijuana bill to incentivize state-level expungements. So basically, AOC and GOP Representative Dave Royce be like...
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Okay, we're saying that in reference to how Biden is still sitting on his hands about this shit.
Yeah, dude.
So I guess they're trying to introduce legislation to try to get something going, at least with expungements. So as congressional lawmakers work to advance federal marijuana legalization, a bipartisan duo on Thursday filed a bill that would incentivize states and local governments to expunge cannabis records in their jurisdictions. Representative Dave Joyce of Ohio and Alexandria Ocasio, I can never say that, Ocasio-Cortez.
The ambiguously,
AOC, bro.
The ambiguously bipartisan
are sponsoring the legislation titled "Harnessing Opportunities by Pursuing Expungement," the HOPE Act.
We hope they get this shit taken care of.
It would encourage states to provide relief to people with nonviolent marijuana convictions through federal grants. The State Expungement Opportunity Grant Program run through the Department of Justice that would help cover the administrative costs of identifying and clearing eligible cases. The bill proposes to appropriate $2 million in funding to support the program for each fiscal year, starting in 2023 and ending in 2032. Specifically, the grants could be used by states to purchase technology used to facilitate expungements at scale, automate the relief process, fund legal clinics to help people get their records cleared, and support innovative partnerships to provide mass relief.
Having been both a public defender and prosecutor, I have seen firsthand how cannabis law violations can foreclose a lifetime of opportunities, ranging from employment to education to housing, Joyce said in a press release. The collateral damage caused by these missed opportunities is woefully underestimated and has impacted entire families, communities, and regional economies. By helping states establish and improve expungement programs for minor cannabis offenses, the HOPE Act will pave the way for expanded economic opportunities to thrive alongside effective investments to redress the consequences of the war on drugs, the congressman said. Ocasio-Cortez said that as we continue to advocate for the decriminalization and legalization of marijuana, this bipartisan bill will provide localities the resources they need to expunge drug charges that continue to hold back Americans, disproportionately people of color, from employment, housing, and other opportunity.
Under the bill, state governors and local governments shall submit to the Attorney General an application at such time, in such manner, and containing such information as the Attorney General may reasonably require to qualify for the grants. What? That was a confusing sentence for me. Further, the legislation would require the Attorney General to carry out a study on the impacts of the cannabis convictions on individuals, as well as the financial costs for states to incarcerate people over nonviolent marijuana offenses. Officials in jurisdictions that receive the grants would be required to publish on a publicly accessible website information about the availability and process of expunging convictions for cannabis offenses, including information for individuals living in a different jurisdiction who are convicted of a cannabis offense in that jurisdiction. They would also need to submit to the Attorney General a report describing the uses of such funds and how many convictions for cannabis offenses have been expunged using the funds.
While the proposal wouldn't end federal marijuana prohibition, it would help facilitate relief at the state level where most cannabis arrests take place in the U.S. The bill also holds bipartisan appeal. It's an important, albeit incremental, move to right the wrongs of the drug war, as progressives have been fighting for. It's also narrowly tailored, simply giving an incentive to states to enact a reform that has majority support among the public. This bipartisan effort represents the growing consensus to reform marijuana policies in a manner that addresses the harms inflicted by prohibition. Normal political director Justin Stracall said, "It provides cash assistance for state and localities that are wisely choosing to remove these stigmatizing records. There's no justification for continuing to prevent tens of millions of Americans from fully participating in their community and workforce simply because they bear the burden of a past marijuana conviction."
And that comes up because I work in HR and we do backgrounds, and I see it all the time. Cannabis possession or something, and we don't even pay attention. In my company, we don't pay attention. You look at first of all, it's pretty much legal
honestly,
now.
listen, dude.
It was how many years ago? They were like 20 years old.
Yeah, even companies are using more common sense than fucking the laws, because then,
but not everybody's doing that. So it really affects people having that on their record. They cannot get a potential look, or if it's between
especially now with a job market as it is, if people are still having a problem with weed shit, I mean, unless it's in like a service or government job where it's been like that for a long time.
Yeah, government, it would definitely hold them back.
But if you're like, come on, bro, companies, like, seriously.
So ultimately, efforts to provide necessary relief to those who carry the scarlet letter of marijuana conviction must be carried out primarily by state and local officials, he said. Having the federal incentive available will go a long way toward empowering local leaders and citizens to take the steps to address the past injustices brought about by the failed policy of the marijuana prohibition, and will also move us closer toward embracing more reasonable cannabis policies. What's more, while there's been an open question about what President Joe Biden would do with a broad marijuana reform bill if it arrived on his desk, given his ongoing opposition to adult use legalization. He's repeatedly said that nobody should be incarcerated over cannabis and that records should be expunged, so this proposal could potentially garner his favor. Yeah, you're supposed to be pardoning them yourself. You said you would.
Yeah, seriously. WTF, guy. There's a similar provision to incentivize state-level expungements included in the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, MORE Act, that cleared the House Judiciary Committee in September. But that legislation is far more wide-ranging in that it would federally deschedule cannabis. Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leaders Chuck Schumer, Senate Finance Committee Chairman Ron Wyden, and Senator Cory Booker are finalizing their own bill to federally legalize marijuana. We talked about this. We talked about this other one.
They mention it in every article.
More recently, GOP lawmakers filed a legalization bill that's being framed as a compromise between progressive proposals and more scaled back legislation that Republican legislatures have introduced in recent sessions. It also contains expungements provisions.
So yeah, they're like, okay, this stuff might take a long time, so I guess this bill for at least starting the expungement process might go through faster. Well, let's see. It's a bipartisan bill. Mm-hmm. Working together.
I don't know. I have nothing to say about that because they need to work together.
All right. Well, this next story is kind of interesting. Colorado University announces groundbreaking study on cannabis and exercise.
Ooh.
A university in Boulder, Colorado is conducting a first of its kind study on cannabis as a performance enhancing substance. Should pot really be considered a performance enhancing substance? Question.
I would say after y'all have been talking shit about how it makes us lazy, y'all can go suck a dick, to be honest.
A first of its kind study at the University of Colorado in University of Colorado in Boulder aims to find out. When American sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson was denied a chance to compete at the Tokyo Olympics this summer due to testing positive for marijuana, it brought attention and plenty of skepticism to the reasoning behind the prohibition of cannabis in the world of competitive athletes.
The so-called space study. Okay, this is what space translates into. Study on physical activity and cannabis effects. Space. Announced on Monday will enlist more space too, because you're in outer space.
You're getting space.
Will enlist more than 50 paid adult volunteers who already mix cannabis and exercise for a study involving 3 sessions, the universe said in a press release. When asked, all the students raise their hands.
Who wants to participate in a study where you get high and exercise?
Yeah, they're like, we do that already. In the first, researchers measure heart rate, have subjects answer a questionnaire, and take some baseline fitness measurements. Then participants are assigned to go to a local dispensary and pick up either a specific CBD dominant strain or THC dominant strain, the announcement said. On one follow-up visit, they return sober to run on the treadmill for 30 minutes, answering questions every 10 minutes to assess things like their perception of the passage of time, how hard the workout feels, how annoyed they are at all these questions, what they're thinking about. No, I didn't ask that one. But what they're thinking about and how much pain they're in. Man, that would annoy the shit. I mean, can I work out?
But are they like paying for your weed? I don't mind doing it, and it would get me fit too. I'd do the study.
I would do the study if they hook it up, not if they're gonna sit there asking me a bunch of questions every 10 minutes while I'm trying to get my workout on.
Well, how else are they gonna be able to assess how it affects you while you're
every
exercising?
10 minutes? I mean, whatever. I guess for science, right? I would not be one of them.
Not only are they incentivizing me by giving me money to go buy weed at whatever local dispensary, but then they're also encouraging me to go exercise. This would really this would be good.
Well, I think you're supposed to already normally be exercising.
Oh man, I'm trying to get back at it, bro. It's so hard once you fall off.
Please join us on the other podcast, okay? On another visit, so the first one, they're not stoned, they're sober for 30 minutes, and then every 10 minutes they annoy you with all these questions, right? And then the next visit, they do the same thing, only they get high before they come.
I bet you they're more annoyed by all the questions when they're sober than when they're high. Because when they're high, they're probably like, whatever, chill.
Yeah. Or when you're high, don't you get in the zone? Wouldn't someone constantly interrupt you from you being in the zone be like annoying as shit anyway?
It depends on what kind. They're just running on a treadmill. They're not doing anything else. So you're just running on a treadmill. Like, you're not like.
I don't know. Anyway.
So Laurel Gibson, a PhD student in the University of Colorado's Department of Psychology and Neuroscience and principal investigator of the study, said that the study will help fill in a gap in cannabis research. As the university's announcement explained, due to a dearth of research in the area.
A dearth?
That's what it says, right? What does that word mean?
Dearth? I've heard of earth. I've heard of girth.
Dearth. A scarcity or lack of something. There is a dearth of evidence.
Okay.
It's perfect. Perfect word to use. As the university's word of the day.
I know.
Every time we hear dearth, we're never going to hear it. I've never heard it before.
I've never heard it. That's why I was like, ¿Qué coño es dearth? Okay, we know now to never use it in a sentence. Whoever wrote this.
As the university's announcement explained, due to the dearth of research in the area, scientists are unsure just how THC and CBD, the 2 primary active ingredients in marijuana, influence physical activity. To date, there are no human studies on the effects of legal market cannabis on the experience of exercise, Gibson said. That's where we come in. Cannabis is often associated with a decrease in motivation. The stereotype of couch lock and laziness, Gibson continued. But at the same time, we are seeing an increasing number of anecdotal reports of people using it in combination with everything from golfing and yoga to snowboarding and running.
Weed makes everything better, bro. Duh. A federal prohibition on weed has prompted the researchers to make certain accommodations with their subjects. Due to the law which prohibits the possession or distribution of marijuana on college campuses, The press release explained the subjects will consume the pot at home before a researcher picks them up in a mobile laboratory. A white Dodge Sprinter van, sometimes referred to as the Canavan.
Oh, the Canavan.
And brings them safely to the lab. Wow. The runners will also don a safety belt around their waist while using the treadmill as an extra precautionary measure.
What? So that in case they fall?
But I would hope they don't get so stoned that they can't fucking focus on when they're running.
I feel like when you're a cannabis user that uses it during exercise, you know how much you need, right? And what kind of strain helps. Like.
Angela Bryan, a professor of psychology and neuroscience. Yeah, but they can't pick whatever they want. I guess they're gonna be smoking whatever they give them.
No. They tell them to go to a local dispensary. Oh, that's
right, and pick whatever they want.
Either a THC dominant one or a CBD dominant one because they're going to test both.
Mm-hmm. I tell you, 9 times out of 10, I'll pick the THC.
You mean 10 out of 10?
80% of the time, they pick THC all the time. Anyways. If cannabis could ease pain and inflammation, helping other adults to be more active,
Did you read this one?
Oh, maybe I started. Angela Bryan, a professor of psychology and neuroscience at the University of Colorado, who's serving as a faculty advisor on the study, said that the research could yield a breakthrough for older individuals for whom exercise is too painful. Yeah, that's true. If cannabis could ease pain and inflammation, helping older adults to be more active, that could be a real benefit, Bryan said.
Hell yeah. Gibson, meanwhile, said that the research could shed light on the link between cannabis use and the runner's high that has been romanticized by joggers around the world. Yeah, I always hear about the runner's high you get. Like, it's the endorphins from all the... I've never gotten a runner's high.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've ran
it feels I feel accomplished.
I feel good at the end, but they talk about like while you're doing it, you get to like this level where you're like on this runner's high or whatever. I don't know. I've never gotten there.
Yeah.
It is possible that extraneous did I say that right? Extraneous cannabinoids like THC or CBD might activate the endocannabinoid system in a way that mimics the runner's high, Gibson said. Richardson failed the drug test less than a month before I thought they were talking about someone else. Yes, I was confused. Richardson failed a drug test less than a month before the Olympics kicked off in Tokyo, keeping her out of the Summer Games. Marijuana is banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency, as well as the United States Anti-Doping Agency and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. In September, the World Anti-Doping Agency said it would reconsider its ban on cannabis.
The USADA has said that pot is banned both because it could present a safety risk to athletes and that it could potentially enhance performance. The later explanation was widely mocked, including by the Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen, who came to Richardson's defense. Marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug unless you entered in the Coney Island hot dog eating contest on the 4th of July. Cohen said at the time, to take her right to appear, her dream away from her is absurd.
It's not like she was like getting high while she was like performing. It was probably something she did after as a recovery method.
Either way, like...
It's a performance-enhancing drug.
Yeah, whatever,
come on,
bro.
People. You can't have it both ways. It can't be a lazy drug and a performance...
Everybody wants to have it both ways constantly. It's the American way. And this next segment, you love so much, and so does Libang.
I love you, Miami!
I love you too, Libang.
I don't know what this means. I'm really confused.
I know, we're a little confused. This was recent.
Yeah. So the Florida Medical Marijuana Use Registry just announced that starting Monday, December 13th, MMTCs may not dispense more than a 35-day supply limit of marijuana in a form for smoking during any 35-day period. And now they have like this new dashboard where you can check on your profile what your available balance is in ounces.
Oh, Jesus.
So I saw somebody comment about this on Instagram, and they were saying that basically if for some reason you didn't purchase your entire 2.5 ounces you're allotted for your 35-day period until like the 30th day or the 32nd day, you know what I mean? Like maybe you go and buy one time in bulk, all of it at once, right? If for whatever reason you needed to go within a week or two, you wouldn't be able to until 35 days later.
So they're basically saying like the way you should buy your weed is like incrementally throughout the month instead of like a lot at one time. Because
I guess, I don't know. I'm really confused by this announcement.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
kind
sure
of
exactly
confusing.
what it means.
So I had seen somebody else made a comment about that it rolls over.
Yeah, because like I don't know, like
right,
they can't the supply limit in a form of smoking in any 35-day period. And then they have this new dashboard with not only patients, but for also
caregivers.
Dispensaries to be able to go in and see the amount available calculation. I don't know. It's really strange. And I found it weird. And I don't know what it means. So like, and I haven't dispensed anything yet for the month of December to go in and log in and look to see what this balance thing, how it works.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to look too.
If anybody that's a patient that understands what this new rule means, and hit us up and explain it to us, please, because
we're a little lost.
Like, what the
we
fuck?
saw that True Leaf posted about it too, but even the description that they gave was like kind of, it wasn't very, like, I don't know. I didn't get it.
But when I was poking around trying to figure out more about this, I found like where you get like weekly updates from the OMMU, the the Office of Medical Marijuana Use. And apparently we are, as of December 3rd, we now have over 646,000 active patients. So that's a lot. But in comparison, only a little over 2,800 doctors in the entire state, that qualified physicians that give the recommendations. And of course, what's really interesting about this is that you can literally see how many ounces every dispensary is dispensing on a weekly basis.
Right. All right. So this next interview is a real treat. It's Brittany Parker. We followed her on Instagram. We've been following each other for quite some time now. At Natural Bree on Instagram. She's founder and CEO of A Green Legacy. She's a marketer, writer, and she is empowering underrepresented cannabis entrepreneurs through programming, education, and community. She's also a mom whose favorite strain is a toss-up between Jack Herrera and Green Kush. She writes for Leafly, Weed Maps, and other publications. We hope you enjoy our interview with Brittany Parker.
I'm watching the palm tree outside of you all, and I'm wishing that I was in Florida.
Yeah, like how cold is it over there already?
Ooh, I want to say it's somewhere in like the 50s, maybe.
Oh my God, we're still in the 80s.
Oh my God,
we're still in the 80s, and on a cool day, it goes down to the low 70s. What
a hard life.
I'll tell you this, the humidity is disgusting, and you get swamp ass. It's not that fun either. You know, it has its downsides as well.
Listen, I am originally from Tennessee, and actually it's 46 degrees right now.
Oh wow.
Right. I'm originally from Tennessee. I know the whole humidity thing, and I don't know, when it's humid, my curls pop a little bit nicer. So I'll take a little bit of swamp ass.
A little bit, but
I don't know. But I like how you guys have completely legal weed there. So we only have medical here.
Yeah, we only have medical here.
I know. When
we're surprised too. We're surprised that we even have medical here.
I am too. Anytime anywhere in the South decides to go medical, I'm like, what?
Yep, times are changing.
I cannot believe it. It's wonderful and beautiful, and I'm just hoping that eventually we can get everyone on board, while also ensuring that those folks who are incarcerated still for those non-violent cannabis offenses are out, that people's records are wiped, all of that. I wish all of it could just happen now, today.
Yesterday.
I feel like, you know what?
Yes.
I feel like, too, this is something that I want to talk more about. This is something that I want us to, like, represent more, because, right, when we talk about cannabis, like, we're trying to, all of us, because your communication's like, oh my God, I read all the stuff that you do, and it's like
everything you post,
chef's
I'm like,
kiss.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate that.
But I feel bad because I want to find more ways to talk about it. I want for people to get more involved, because I feel like this is the first step. Like, we cannot be sitting pretty, loving our weed, and like, we can't, it's not guilt free, because there's people still locked up for it, while other people are making
millions.
Making bank. So I have a couple of friends over right now, and we were hanging out last night, and we were talking about how we were envisioning what it must be like sitting in prison right now for like a roach that was found in your car floorboard. And then you see on the news that like people are going and buying, like here in Washington, you can buy 3 ounces at a time if you're recreational, if you don't have a medical card. And like people are walking out with their little jars, and like people are making all of this money. But here I am sitting in jail because they found a grinder in my car, and that like added years onto my sentence. And that's still happening. The fact that it's still happening is just bizarre to me. It makes me angry. It makes me angry. It should make us all angry.
Yes. Yeah. I was just going to say, all of us should be extremely angry. It's a huge, huge injustice.
Yes.
Funny enough, so there was a research that University of Washington and University of Washington and Washington State University did, that was focused on how has incarceration and arrests changed due to the legalization of cannabis, because that was one of the really big pieces that folks were using in order to get it legal here. And so what they found 5 years after it being legal is that even though arrest overall has decreased, it is still a situation where there's still a huge gap between who is arrested for having cannabis and who isn't. Even though it's completely legal here, like there is still this huge gap between white people being arrested for the use of cannabis and Black people being arrested for the use of cannabis. And so even for possession. And so it's just so mind-boggling to me that even in a lot of legal states, we're still seeing these gaps persist when we would think that they wouldn't, that they would close. But in a lot of ways, they haven't.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes for so many things. I mean,
look at Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, I can't even.
Right there is another example.
And like, I know, yes, and it's so frustrating
across the board, not just in cannabis.
And I don't. Yes. Yeah, it is across the board. It is across the board. I mean, yeah, it's just how can you even? There's no words.
All we can do is teach our kids right and keep having conversations.
Yes, having conversations and taking action in whatever ways we have access to. It's Kyle Rittenhouse, I feel like I'm still processing it, and not even from the perspective of I thought that this wouldn't happen. I thought that it was very clear with the judge that he was going to walk. My hope was that maybe, just maybe, there'd be a mistrial so that he had to be tried again, hopefully by a different judge. And obviously that didn't happen. And so here we are. And I can't remember exactly who posted this, but they said something to the effect that they said, maybe now this will show white people that like they're not even protected under our justice system, and how it is, and how it's progressed. And so, and what it is, not even how it's progressed, what our justice system is. And I've been thinking about that a lot since I saw it last night, because we're in a place where we have this kid. Well, let me not call him a kid, because he isn't. He's an adult. We have this adult who went to this place where they knew that they felt like there would be rioting, and he's deciding to defend a business that he didn't even know existed until he got there, with an AK-47 or whatever type of rifle he had. And then he kills two white people, and he's become this like weird folk hero. Like, how in modern times, in 2021, I don't know, I didn't have faith that he was going to see justice, but I had faith that maybe he would have some level of consequence. And if anything, he's had nothing but opportunity. And I think that's partially what makes me angry. But then I also think about my son, who's 4, and I think about my husband, who's been stopped numerous times by police just for being a tall Black guy. And it just, I feel like I'm in a constant state of fear. And I think that is true for a lot of moms. I think that's true for a lot of parents. I think that's true for a lot of families. I think that's true for a lot of people who have not been able to see justice, have not been able to witness justice, the same type of justice, the same type of leniency, for their own people, for people who look like them. And so here we are. Kyle is going to probably become a politician or some shit.
An intern for a big politician. Already 3 are like, hey, Kyle, want to come intern for us?
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's like, isn't it feel like the villain is constantly fucking winning? Like the villain is I constantly feel like I'm in this movie, and the 80s douchebag rich villain guy is with the little sweater tied around his fucking shoulder. He's always fucking getting his way and winning, and like the little people are like, please, governor, give me. And it's just like, it is just a constant, like, are you fucking serious? This fucking douchebag is like, it's mind blowing sometimes. And sometimes it's like, I don't even want to get the details, because it's like, it's just gonna make you more mad.
Yes, it's true. And I remember in the heat of George Floyd's murder and the uprising that was happening, I remember having like a moment where I was like, okay, Brittany, you have to stop consuming the news. Like, you've got to take a break. Like, you have to take a break from social. You need to do that for your own mental health. And it is so hard to do that when you see yourself reflected in all of these injustices.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. There's that quote with one of the posts that I posted yesterday that was, like, how can we get over something that's still going on? Mm-hmm. And even that piece around like race, I've got time and time again, like, you make everything about race or class or blah, 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 blah. But it's like, how can we not make everything about race and class when our
constantly
our entire society has been based off of
it's
that.
systemic. It really is.
And it just keeps going, and it's never ending. And now that we're exposed to more ways of accessing it, now we see it all the time. So it's constantly affecting us, and you don't want it to affect you, but it has to, because it pertains to you and your people. It's like, it's crazy. It is.
And then we can't say that we're that far from it. I think when people think about like slavery, when people think about civil rights movement, when they think about all of those things, they're thinking like, this happened 500,
right.
500 million years ago.
No,
but those people, but those are the ignorant people who don't, I feel like those are the people who live in their own world of like, let's deny all of this stuff. Because I also feel like you don't constantly want to make it an issue, but like, it's fucking, look at it. It's like, how can you not, right? You just said, how can you not?
Right.
I remember.
But you have to learn about it.
For sure. And you have to shut up and listen to people tell their stories and like, because ultimately, I understand the concept of like not getting it unless you live it, because you ultimately the most empathetic that you'll be is if you've been in that situation, right?
Yes.
But like, if you have people that you love telling you that they've been part of these situations and this kind of shit has happened to them, like, doesn't that fucking affect you because you want to make a better world for those people not to have to tell you those stories?
Exactly. But you know what? We're also dealing with a situation where these same people who are like, no critical race theory, and they're, pushing back so intensely on this. It's like their grandparents, their parents have been like perpetrators within our history. And so it's like, we're talking about segregation, but I think about the fact that my parents experienced segregation and they're not 100 years old. Like my parents experienced that. And so it's like, if my parents are experiencing that, then I know good and well that, a lot of people who are not of the global majority, that their parents were probably on the other side of the fence protesting against integration and all of these other things. And so how can we be surprised that this is where we are right now?
History continues to repeat itself.
Right. Well, and it's so funny. Somebody asked me if I would promote cannabis to like high schoolers. And it was one of those kind of...
But that word promote, that's like, not the word you want to use, maybe?
Educate.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I was like, the thing about it is that it's like nobody's out here like going on a promotion campaign.
Right. Where they
at? A lot of people who are out here trying to educate people about the impact of cannabis, like what cannabis can be and what it isn't, what it is, and really trying to unravel all of that propaganda, all of the stigma that people still deal with now. And so even thinking about like high school age kids or even kids at all, it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like we just need to be honest with them. Like, we just need to be honest with what it is and what it isn't. Mm-hmm. And the reason that DARE didn't work is because like no one was actually honest about what it can do and what it can't do. And so instead of keeping us away from drugs or weed,
it did not keep me from trying it.
No, like it made me more curious.
Yes.
I was like, well, if you're only going to give me this information, then like, I don't know. I feel like I should try this one day. Like you've piqued my interest. So so here we are.
Yeah. You know what though? But like in retrospect, it is scary. It's scary to be honest sometimes, right? Because sometimes like you have to say things or, like you have to go against popular opinion.
Yeah, like we're going to be telling our kids about cannabis and they're still going to go to school and hear about it and DARE and hear that negative propaganda about it instead of the honest truth.
You know what? And it's so crazy to think that is the case, because it's like, there has to be some kind of shift. Like, I don't remember in high school there really being much of a conversation even around alcohol. And this is not to compare cannabis and alcohol, but thinking of the way that like schools stigmatize it and like the education around it, I think has the potential to be similar in some ways. But like, I didn't really learn a whole lot about alcohol in high school. The only thing that I learned about, that I remember extensively learning about, was like car accidents and like drinking and driving. And that was really it. Like there was not much else. So I'm curious as to what cannabis education will look like as it relates to kids in schools, like 15, 20 years from now, when it's hopefully less stigmatized than it is now.
Yeah. I feel like the school topic
until it becomes federally legal, it's not going to change. But this is the thing.
A lot of things, like, okay, earlier we were talking about critical race theory, but like even beyond that, like there's so many things that they need to teach in school that they don't. That when you become an adult, you're like, what the fuck? You should have told me what a 401 fucking K was. I would have been doing a lot better now in my 30s, right? Or shit like that. Like just like real life education. Like, there's just so much school, and then like to think, okay, it's like kind of like a way that they mold you into like becoming this workhorse, right? Because I've always thought, and I'm sorry, homework is fucking bullshit. I think homework is bullshit. I go to school for the thing that I gotta go to school for, and I understand maybe sending people home with some kind of enrichment homework so they can relate real life to what they're learning in school. But like this fucking book work and shit, that's for the birds, bro. I think that's a bunch of bullshit that's also molding your children to fucking take work home with them
overtime.
And always, and I think that's all fucking crazy, like boxes that it's like, well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and on that thread, like thinking about the way that capitalism is so insidious in our life, like we start learning, not even realizing that we're learning about like capitalism and like productivity, like even the idea of not being productive or what, like the idea of like rest is almost like revolutionary, and it shouldn't be, because like we're humans and we need rest, but like schools and in conjunction with capitalism, like teach us how to work within like a capitalistic society. So like, you need to bring work home with you. You need to work
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Yes, like your value is based on like how productive you are, how much money you make,
how well you score on tests.
Yes, how well you score on tests when
your
like
credit score.
Yes. And like, I feel like we all know somebody who was like that overachiever student, and now they're an adult and they're like in a constant state of like existential crisis. I feel like we all know that, and it's because like school doesn't really prepare people to like for real be adults. Like it just teaches us that like, like you get grades in school, and then you have a lot of people who have like attributed their value to how good their grades are, but like
that's so really sad, right? Because then they come out here and they're like, I'm the best, I'm so good, and then you're like, oh, what a world, what is this?
Or you get a boss that like doesn't care that you think like that, and your boss is like, no, you're a sack of shit, and then you're like, hold on, but everyone's always told me that I'm like great and amazing, and I've always made good grades. So like, why aren't you like giving me good grades? Like, why am I not
getting a raise every year or getting time off? Or
let me say this, because this is something that you do that I love, is I love the empowerment that you give people. And I also love that you go, here is job opportunity in the cannabis industry. You can do it. Send your resume, do it, go for it. Even if you don't think you qualify. Like, I love that. I love that about you. And I love that you like, oh my God. I don't even know what to say. That's awesome.
Well, that's what A Green Legacy is about, right? So why don't you tell us about A Green Legacy?
Yeah. So the name of my company is, which sounds so weird still, is A Green Legacy. And its entire purpose is to empower and support underrepresented cannabis entrepreneurs. What I have found in this first year of being in business and like actually doing this thing is that I think there are a lot of different barriers that people are encountering. And the cannabis industry is particularly tricky because it's hard to figure out. It's not federally legal. Like, you don't know, like, who could be a good partner? Like, who isn't? Like, how do I get money? How do I get funding for my business when we can't bank in traditional ways? And so what I'm finding through in this first year of like learning, listening to the market, seeing what issues people are dealing with, there's this huge piece where people are like, well, I already have a business and there are these like specific business needs that I'm trying to figure out. But then I'm also seeing this other piece that is focused on like, well, I don't actually know how to talk about myself. Like, maybe I have another job, or I'm actually looking to work in cannabis before actually going to business in cannabis. And I just don't know how to break into the industry. And so that's actually where that whole job piece that I've been doing for, I guess, about 2 months now has come from. Is a lot of questions that I get are like, how do I get into the cannabis industry? Like, I want to have my own business in the industry, but I can't figure out how to even enter into it. I can't even figure out like who I need to talk to. I can't even figure out how to use like LinkedIn and and promote myself. I'm not sure how to talk about myself and my skills. And so I get a lot of people who remind me of myself in ways where I've had 3 very distinctive careers in my like journey. And I see a lot of people who feel like exactly like I felt, which was, okay, initially I was a teacher and I burned the fuck out. And that's actually what brought me to cannabis. And I was like, I went to school for this. Like, this is what I was supposed to love. And I do love the teaching part of it, but I hate the bureaucracy part of it. I do love the education piece and the impact that has on people's lives. But I hate the unrealistic expectations that are put on me by like my district or by my principal or whoever. And so like there was that piece. And I remember feeling like I didn't have any other options. Like, I have to be a teacher because that's what I went to school to do. And then once I got to the point where I was like, no, I think I'm having a nervous breakdown. I need to leave. And I decided to leave. Then I went back to school and then I entered into a career in tech within marketing and communications. And then I was there and I was like, okay, I actually like bits and pieces of this. And I can't believe that I somehow made this transition from being an educator and working in the education system. And now I'm working in tech and I'm doing marketing. And like, the only reason that I made that transition is because I talked to other people who had the career that I wanted, and like they gave me insight. And so then after that, after being in tech, I was like, well, I know that I really love cannabis and I know that I actually miss teaching to some extent. And I know that this isn't what I want to do, but I know that this experience that I was having in marketing, I'm having it because it's leading me to something else. So let me just let the universe do its thing. And so then I ended up in cannabis and I ended up in sales at Leafly. And then that happened. And that role in particular, I was in partnership sales. I spent months talking to hundreds of cannabis entrepreneurs who were like, I don't know what to do with my marketing. I don't know what to do with communications. Like, I don't know how I've even gotten to this point. But I love talking to people. So I'm like, tell me more about how you got into entrepreneurship, because I knew that was something that I wanted to do. And then I heard these stories where I'm like, hold up, you had no experience. You just went off on like white guy confidence, and you somehow
mediocre white guy confidence.
Yes, and you somehow like started this business and it's not doing terribly. And then I think that experience made me realize, like, oh my gosh, if people who are constantly underrepresented or underestimated and they're marginalized, like if they could be privy to these stories of these people who are like somewhat mediocre, they would realize that they have so much more. They are coming with so much more skill, so much more perspective, so much more of an understanding.
Can I say this? Isn't it interesting how like some of the smartest people and most like amazing people are so humble that and then there's like these idiots out here who have never been flying around with confidence, being like, oh, I can be in charge of this company. And then you're going like, really, bro? What are you doing here? If that guy can do that,
then surely,
come on, guys.
Like, surely you can do this. And half the time, and I feel like what I found is that like, a lot of it is there are those people who come with a silver spoon. When we look at the billionaires of the world, they didn't start that through like pulling themselves up by their bootstraps.
Right.
Like,
old money.
They had generational.
Right.
Money.
Exactly. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so I was like, man, if people could just be a part of these conversations that I'm having with these people in particular, like they would know that they could do any fucking thing. And for me, that's how it was. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I could do any fucking thing that I want to, because I had these conversations with some of these people who I'm like, I don't even know how I still can't figure out how you got here and you're so successful, but I'm asking you basic questions about your business and about like your industry and you can't tell me anything about it. And so that part was really helpful. I talked to a lot of people who are brilliant and smart. They've done great things and you can see it. But I talked to a lot of people who were not. And I talked to very few people. I talked to very few women in that time. I talked to very few Black and brown people in that time. And it was that situation where I was like, damn, if we could just all like believe in ourselves just a little bit more, then I feel like there are so many brilliant people out there that just don't realize like how wonderfully informed and ready for whatever they want to do. They don't realize how close they are to that. And like,
even just the hunger,
taking that leap of faith,
right? Or even just the hunger of wanting to do something. Like you don't have to have a degree. Like if you really, really like something. I had seen, oh my God, I saw this post today. I think it's like a Citizens of New York, kind of like it's a TikTok where the guy, he does photography and he captured, oh my God, it's just like everybody in New York is beautiful. So with all these pictures. So he meets this guy. This guy walks up. This guy looks like something out of a magazine. He's got, thrifted boots. He looks really cool. Kind of like, what is this? Steampunk?
Yeah.
He's got like a whole grill that he made out of like, I don't know, metal. He had like metal teeth, and he was a metal worker. Like he was a, what do they call that?
Like a
blacksmith,
like iron. A blacksmith, right? So because he had really cool jewelry, and the jewelry he had on his hands, he was super eccentric, looked wild with like he had a whole metal hand thing. So and the guy was like, oh, what do you do? The guy's like, well, I make the grills. I make teeth for people. People like the fangs. And if people really are serious, like I'll cement them in for them if they want them permanent. So he makes these, and then there's a part where he goes, I can't believe that I was able to take something that I loved doing and make like a business, like a random weird something that's not heard of. And I am literally, this is what I do for a living. This is how I make my money. I make fucking cool teeth for people.
Yes. Yes. And I feel like there are so many people like that. And oftentimes we only see them once they become like really successful.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I found is that most people, most companies, most of these things that we and people that we aspire to be, that has been like 10 years of work prior to us coming in contact with them. And so I think oftentimes I even have to remind myself of that, is like, these things, it takes time. It doesn't, it's not a situation where you're just like, you got a good idea and it just like comes together.
Right.
But my hope with A Green Legacy is that through the events that we do, through the programming that we do, through the community that we build, we're able to not only give people these skills that they actually need. For example, we did our first event was focused on finding funding for your business. Then we did another one on getting into the cannabis industry. Then we did another one that was focused on getting PR for your business. And it's like, there are these skills that people need to learn about and they need, and there are these people out here who are willing to like open their playbook to us. But then there's also this internal piece of us that like has to truly believe in ourselves, even when we don't feel like we're good enough. And we just have to like have blind courage and blind confidence. And so that's something that's taken me like years to be able to do. And I can only thank my therapists that I've had in the past, and I currently have too, but also that experience at Leafly where I was talking to quite a few people who had blind confidence. And I was like, damn, okay, if you say so, Bill. Like,
perspective, right? But like, it's always like you only know what you know until you know something else. Like you're in this room until you find another door and you get into the next room, because so sometimes you get into that room and you're like, damn, man, I wish I would have been in this room earlier. I would have made a lot of sense back there.
Yes, but you know what I found lately is that even though, because I do a lot of that, I do a lot of, oh my gosh, I wish I had known this sooner. Like I wish, because I would have done X, Y, and Z differently. But one thing that my therapist said to me lately is she was like, Brittany, maybe this is just happening right on time. Like maybe if you had gotten that information back then, you still wouldn't have been doing the things that you're doing right now. Like maybe it would not have made as much of an impact as you think. And so I was like, okay, I mean, I guess you do make a point, but it is that piece that I think we were talking about earlier around like our ego and like allowing ourselves to, like, we have to allow ourselves to not know everything, and we have to be comfortable with that. And there's a lot of I think power that comes from being able to say like, okay, I don't know a lot about this, so tell me more, like asking questions and being able to do that. And that's been very, very difficult for me, especially being a Black woman who has been in a variety of careers where I have been the only in a room. Even thinking about, my college days and growing up, like I was usually one of the only, or I was one of few people who were racialized, like not like there wasn't really even other people of other races. It was just like me and a bunch of white people or whatever. And so there was this constant piece where it's like, okay, I know that I'm going to have to do a lot to prove myself. I know that I'm going to have to do a lot in order to get people to feel that like I am knowledgeable and that I deserve to be in this room. And so it made it very difficult to be able to lead with any level of vulnerability, because it's like, oh, they're expecting me to fail. They're expecting, like, I know that because I am the only, and I'm like this outlier, that puts me in a precarious situation. And so I think thinking about my career, it's been one where it's like,
plus it's hard. It must be hard for you to like, and this is something that I don't ever like when we have conversations and stuff, like as a person of color, if you're the only one in the room, it must also be hard because you're like, I don't want to be like a representative of every person of my person. And it's like, God, it's such a fucking huge task because everyone's like, every time they need to understand, they need to have a question on diversity, like all of the eyes, come to you and you're just like,
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And it's like, it's so much pressure.
Yes.
And it comes to a point where it's like, I know I was raised by parents who, they had experienced having to kind of contort themselves to fit in, to advance, or not even to fit in, but to advance within their careers, within their life, blah, blah, blah. And it is one of those things where it's like, it's so much pressure feeling like you have to be a representative of everyone. And it's so hard to convince yourself that you don't actually have to do that, even if other people are putting that pressure on you.
Right.
And so
they need to also have the pressure of like seeking outside sources and having more than just you as a friend, or you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? And I feel like one thing that was just so helpful to me, especially when George Floyd was first murdered, was, again, I was raised in the burbs, and luckily I had wonderfully strong Black people around me that made it so that experience as being like one of the only people within your school, within, your day-to-day environments. It made it so that I didn't have to lose parts of myself in that that environment. But I remember even being a high schooler, even being early in college, exhausting so much energy trying to educate the people around me. And so being like, okay, well, if you have a question about this and I'm about to spend a lot of energy telling you everything that I know about this and giving you resources and blah, blah, blah. And one of the most beautiful things that happened when George Floyd passed and all of this uprising happened, and white people in particular were like, oh my gosh, like, what can we do? Was being able to tell people, if you want my expertise, if you want me to educate you, if you want me to use my own experiences, which are rooted in trauma, which are rooted in all of these negative experiences that have helped me become, this insightful person that you're now trying to mine for information, then you need to run me my coins, honey, because I am not doing that work for free. So if you want that, then that is what we're talking about. So Judy from high school or Rebecca, all of these names I'm making up, do not come into my DMs trying to ask me for resources and all sorts of things, because there are activists, there are researchers who have been doing this work for years upon years, and they're easy to find. They're very easy to find. You know how to use the internet. And if you would like to talk to me more about this, then here is my fee. So run me my coins. Thank you and good day.
All right, and that was our interview. You can find Brittany on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Or what is that?
Yeah, Twitter.
At Natural Brie. That's BRII. And then also on Instagram and Facebook, follow her company page, which is at A Green Legacy. And her company Twitter is at @A_Green Legacy. Really fun to talk to her. We love seeing her post. Please check her out. Sponsors, thank you so much. Special thank you to our patrons. Like we said earlier in the show, become a patron for early access to our episodes, additional content.
Full uncut episodes
that are usually
over 2 hours that are cut down to a half hour to an hour sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on
the on the interview. We have Zoom smoke sessions, field trips,
vacation,
and so much more. Please become a patron. And for all of our current patrons,
we're actually doing a Zoom sesh with our patrons this weekend on the 11th.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, if you want, become a patron so you can have Zoom sessions with us. Some of our patrons include
Yanni, Destiny, Lauren, Jesse, Christy, April, Shelby, Denise, Liza. I think it's 2 Natalies. I'm not sure if it's the same Natalie.
I think it's the same one. Natalie.
Please clarify for us.
Meredith, Terry, and Angelina. Thank you guys so much. We have so much fun with you guys. Hey, y'all. Subscribe, rate, review, and share our content. We love you. Go share some love. Go to potsmokingmoms.com.
Bye.
Bye.